Good day, everybody. Welcome to Dental Voice with Xyrus. My name is Rolando Mia. Today, we have a special guest, and I'm especially excited to talk to Dr. Harvey Levy. Before we get to Dr. Harvey, I want to just explain. Dental Voice Season 2 is intended to provide our viewers and listeners an opportunity to hear from clinicians, hear their perspectives, hear their opinions, get some advice. And we bring guests on from a whole host of different specialties. Dr. Levy has a special focus, and before we get into that, I want to explain who Dr. Levy is. I've known Dr. Levy for quite a while, and I'm absolutely blessed and so psyched that he's going to be joining us. Dr. Levy is a dentist. He is the owner and founder of Dr. Harvey Levy and Associates. He went to Tufts and also did his residency in Penn, I believe, and then also teaches in Maryland. He's a professor. It's going to be crazy because check this out. And I'm going to suggest you all look. Dr. Levy is probably one of the most knowledgeable people that I have the honor of knowing. One of the things that's important is understanding, education, experience, but with that you have knowledge, but only time gives you wisdom. He has all four. Dr. Levy has 9 fellowships. In addition to the Academy of General Dentistry and the Academy of Dentistry International, he's got a host with the Association of Hospital Dentists, American Society of Geriatric Dentistry, Academy of the Handicapped, American Associations for Integrative Medicine, as well as a host of others. He's also received his mastership in the Academy of General Dentistry. He's got 5 diplomat certificates from the Board of Forensic Dentistry, the College of Forensic Examiners, College of Dentistry, Special Care Dentistry, a whole host of those. He's also the first dentist in Maryland to receive the Academy of General Dentistry's Lifelong Learning and Service Recognition Award. Holy cow. Dr. Levy also, well, I'm going to have him. He can speak. He's a well-authored clinician. He speaks about all sorts of wonderful things, and he's a grand master in the martial arts. I believe you have 14 or so different black belts. So thank you, Dr. Levy, for joining us. Really, really appreciate you taking the time. How are you, sir?
Wonderful. Just one quick correction. I'm a master, not a grandmaster. That would be disrespectful to the grandmasters.
Oh,
I'm just a master.
Just the master. Okay.
In case one of them hears this, I need to have it correct.
Wait, and you invented air or water or something. Is that right? So let's get into this. And when we speak with our clinicians, obviously one of the biggest issues that we're facing right now is the advent of COVID and the impact in dentistry, in our industry, and what we're doing. How has this affected you currently in all of the clinical aspects of what you're doing?
It has affected us significantly. Up until the pre-pandemic days, we treated everyone in our practice as though they were HIV positive, which means we took special precautions. Now we've had to augment that and say, not only do we assume everyone is HIV positive, but they're also COVID positive. So we don't ask if they're positive or negative. We're going to assume they're positive. Having said that, we still call every patient the night before with a questionnaire. When they call us from the parking lot saying they're ready to come in, we repeat the questions. And upon arrival in our waiting room, we will give them several tests, including pulse oximeter, temperature, and a few more questions. They must come in with the mask, and they must wear the mask until they're seated, and only take it off when the hygienist or the doctor asks them to do so. When they come into the operatory, they have to wash their hands for 20 seconds, and they have to rinse with what we selected is 50-50 peroxide and water for 20 more seconds. This is even before we begin.
Wow, so you're taking absolutely every precaution to minimize any exposure. The context of assuming that they are positive so that you're covered is that, and obviously I'm guessing you wear PPE, but you've always done that. Is that correct?
Yes, but we're doubling up now. In addition to our N95 mask, we have a disposable mask that goes over it that we discard at the end of every single patient procedure. In addition to protective glasses, we have a face shield. So we have 2 masks, 2 eyeglasses and face shields, and we double glove with every patient. In addition, we have disposable gowns. Also, we have an option of washable gowns that we change at the end of every half day. Or if we see any body fluids, we change it immediately. So we're double gloving, double masking, double glasses, and gowns, in addition to everything else.
Oh, I love it. So, and the context around it is huge because it's all about safety. Now, if I understand correctly, and I need some guidance from you here, you specialize in treating patients with special needs. Am I saying that correctly?
I'm going to modify a word. A specialist does that to the exclusion of all else. We don't specialize, we emphasize. One quarter of our practice includes patients with severe anxiety and special needs. So a quarter of our practice. But my 4 partners and I still do drill and fill and bill general dentistry. But we go out of our way to welcome, embrace, and cater to those with severe anxiety and special needs in our office, as well as the surgical center and the hospitals that we frequent.
When treating the patients with those special needs, are there different protocols that you have to follow because of the kind of the circumstances that they're under?
Yes, we have 2 rules. Every patient with anxiety and special needs must come in on an empty stomach and empty bladder. Empty stomach and empty bladder, because they're given a sedative, which is usually a benzodiazepine and or nitrous oxide. And the combination makes about 1/3 of the patients want to either pee or throw up. To make sure they don't pee or throw up, they must come in on an empty stomach, empty bladder. So they can have a false urinary urgency, but nothing's going to come out. They can retch, but nothing's going to come out. And that will allow us to continue our procedure to completion without these body fluids being an impediment.
And from an operative perspective, what are some of the what has COVID, or has it done to affect the way you're treating these patients and the way you're managing them through the course of the procedure?
Unfortunately, in several ways. In pre-COVID, each of the dentists would be able to work 2 rooms at once. We work an anesthetized patient in 1 room, change gloves, we'll do a procedure in the 2nd room, come back to the 1st. We're no longer double booking in 2 rooms, because once we're in a room, we stay in the room and we don't leave. Furthermore, that dentist cannot also check hygiene patients, because we cannot change our PPE to go to the hygiene room. So we now have 3 dentists doing the work of 1, where 1 dentist will work 2 rooms, going A, B, A, B. Another dentist will go rooms C, D, C, D, so to speak. And a 3rd dentist will check hygiene. Those that seeing patients are not checking hygiene. The one that's checking hygiene is not seeing patients. So our production is down. Our patient volume is clearly down. And the other major impact is patients with special needs that require several people to help monitor the hand and leg movements are being postponed until it's safer to have more parents or caregivers in the room. We limit to only 1, maximum of 2 other people in the room because of the pandemic. Everyone, again, is gowned and gloved, et cetera, but we don't want to deal with patient thrashing about and having multiple people trying to hold and restrain. Those patients are either delayed or brought to the operating room or surgical center, where it's a safer environment. The operative word is safety. When the patients come in, we tell the caregiver or parent, if you feel that something is unsafe, you utter the word and we will halt as soon as it's possible to do so. And we'll either resume on another day with a higher level of sedation or medication, or abort and go to the hospital or surgical center.
Wow. So the advice, so for other practices, in the event that they are exposed to, or they have a patient who they suspect is this way, what advice would you give them? Same thing.
The advice, well, I've got a series of a list of advice, if I may. It's not a 1-word answer. In addition to empty stomach, empty bladder, we like to have them all have nitrous oxide masks, and we love the Porter silhouette mask because it has such a low profile. We use the rainbow wraps made by Specialized Care because this is gentle mesh and Velcro. There's no wood, there's no metal, and it's a very gentle, safe restraint. We use intraoral suction devices. My favorite one is the Xyrus, but we use it in a way that's not typical. We take the mouthpiece, we dip it in lidocaine viscous, 2% viscous. This way, when we insert it in the mouth, it is an anesthetic and a lubricant. So if we have a gagger and they're not even aware that we're placing the Xyrus mouthpiece in the Xyrus mouthpiece in the mouth because it's been dipped in a lidocaine lubricant. This is not something the manufacturer has. It's something that we've adapted for our success with the gagging patients.
Oh, wow, wow. And as far as the overall experience, if you run into a situation where it becomes too much, then you refer out or you postpone to another facility. Is that what I understand?
Almost. We don't refer out. We either reschedule with a greater level of intensity or more restrainers or higher level of benzodiazepines, like we'll increase the Valium, nitrous oxide, or we'll invite another restrainer, such as a parent or a caregiver, to ask them to just put your hands on his patient's hands, because for safety, we don't want them bringing their hands up to the mouth where we have sharp tools and objects.
Oh, okay. I've sat in several of your courses, and I appreciate and have huge respect for what you do, because, you know, with these patients, there isn't as much of an understanding what's going on, and I love the care that you put into that, and especially now with COVID. Are you seeing any apprehension from your other patients, the other, you know, group of patients that you're treating in your practice because of COVID?
Well, my wife sends a weekly newsletter to all of our patients of record, telling them exactly what we're doing. We made a few videos and sent it to them to show them, this is what we're doing. Whenever you feel safe, please come in. It'll be our privilege and our pleasure to see you. But know that here's what we're doing to keep you safe and to keep our staff safe. So they know by weekly newsletters, as well as videos that we have created and shared with them.
And are you seeing people who are still apprehensive to come into the practice, or just not happy about it?
Yes, and we invite those people to read the Google reviews of those patients that have already come and gone. We say, don't trust us, trust the people who have come and gone and written unsolicited reviews. And we have a large number of reviews on Solution Reach and Google, et cetera, et cetera. So when they read third-party unbiased reviews, they feel a little bit more comfortable, less anxious. Throughout the pandemic, we were closed for the first 100 days to elective cases. The two of the five partners were present with minimal skeletal crew staff to handle emergencies. We never abandoned anyone. My passion is access to care. This is such an important passion for me. So we maintain access to care for those that were in dire need during the 100 days. And now we're open at 50% capacity. Only 4 of our 9 rooms are functional at any moment in time. Plus, we added another 1,000 square feet to our office, which was originally going to be for either 3 operatories or 3 surgical chairs. Instead, we made it a 1,000 square foot kitchen lounge, so our staff can safely have lunch without being on top of each other. We use that for our morning huddles. We use it for lounging and for lunch, so they can have lunch 6 feet apart when they take the masks off.
Wow, that's amazing, and I love what you've been doing to ensure the safety. Lately, and I'm curious to get your perspective on this. There's been so much information. It's almost difficult to figure out what's real and what's not. Aerosols, droplets, spray, spatter, splatter, all of those types of things. What are your thoughts on that? And how do you, how do you kind of process everything that's being thrown out from our groups here, but nobody is saying anything really definitive about that?
Well, if any one product is excellent, everybody would go towards that. Since we don't know what's good and what's bad, We purchased a variety of products, and what we like we keep, what we don't like we discard. Just like fishing, this fish I'll keep, this one I won't. We have several intraoral, several extraoral products. Our hygienists don't use Cavitron unless they can justify the aerosol, and when they do it, we have intraoral and also extraoral HVE, high velocity evacuations. We'll often have another person merely holding the suction, in addition to the assistant that's assisting the doctor.
So how have you kind of navigated through and deciphered what's real and then what's just kind of hysteria? I mean, when we first started this whole COVID thing, dentistry, hygiene was going to be, everything that you saw was at the top of that, but we've seen so few real, issues there. How have you kind of figured out what's real and what's not?
Well, we have different people in our office taking different webinars and Zoom programs, and then we meet each day to say, well, this is what I learned from this one, and that's what I learned from that one. This is useless, but this is beneficial. Let's adopt it. And so no one person can study it all. So we have like 4 different people assigned to study different things, and then we share the information of what's useful, what's not, what's good for us, what might be good for somebody else, but not for us. And then we try and experiment and explore with what seems to work. And if it works, we adopt it. If it doesn't work, we call it an experiment that didn't succeed. All the great inventors tried many times. Thomas Edison tried 999 times before he hit it on the 1000th, for example. And so we do a lot of trial and error, and then we keep what works for us and discard what doesn't work for us.
If you were to summarize the top 3 things or 5 things or however many that are working for you, what would those be?
Number 1 is safety, patient safety and staff safety. Nobody in our office has gotten sick. Not a single patient has gotten sick to the best of our knowledge. So we over-prepare both the patients and the staff for us. In fact, by wearing all this clothing, we lower the temperature to 68. And for those that complain, we just give them a blanket, and we take that. Then we have the blanket washed later on. But we want to keep it on a protective environment. Listen to the patient. The patient will tell you what their needs are. That's why God gave us 2 ears and 1 mouth, so we can listen twice as much as we speak. The patient will tell you what their needs are, what the diagnosis is, and if we listen to them, they will be better off. We don't tell them what to do. We have a triad of here's what we, here the SOAP notes, SOAP, subjective, objective assessment plan. Here's what we know. Here's what we recommend. You tell me what's right for you. And for the dentists, I tell them, read, take as many courses as you can. When the workshops resume, take workshops. I myself have given 150 workshops to all of the major dental meetings in America, Canada, etc. And there's some wonderful places where you can get CE, Academy of General Dentistry for general dentists, SCD, special care dentistry for those interested in special care patients. If you go to my website, I have 40 articles and books that you are welcome to download and read. I've got a host of 35 different journals from many different states. I have Texas, New Jersey, Pennsylvania, Arizona, et cetera, got a host of them. And then some books that are not free to download, but they're really inexpensive. Dental Care of North America, Wiley, Elsevier. Is just a host of books and literature out there that are all listed on my website, and most of them are downloadable for free. And I'd be privileged to have you just contact me or let me know what I can do to assist you in your journey, because this is it's a journey of passion for us.
That is cool. That's so cool. Are there any systems or technologies that you found or that work especially well, or that you found that don't work well?
Well, things that I have in my car that I take with me all the time that I need are the have the Nomad Pro 2, which is the X-ray unit that's portable. I take it to homes, nursing homes, hospitals, surgical centers, etc. I have the There's a light that's 3-in-1 that trying to remember the name at the moment. It'll come back to me later, but it's a retractor, a light, and a mirror that I use for my intraoral exams when I'm out of the office, or even in my waiting room with a handicapped patient who will not come into the operatory.
Oh,
It's
wow.
made by Star and sold by Dental Ease. Don't remember the name offhand, but I use it constantly. These are some of the things that I cannot do without.
That is awesome. And you did mention that you use it, so appreciate that. So I've heard, or you told me, you shared with me that during the course of COVID, you actually contracted it, or you discovered that you were COVID positive. Is that correct?
Yes. On March 16th, I was in the operating room doing 6 cases. My brother called me during one of the cases and said, "Come to New York quickly. Dad's in the hospital with congestive heart failure." Well, I had to finish my day's cases because they were already there. Closed, ran to New York, and I went to Lenox Hill Hospital where my dad was in the hospital. He's fine now. He's absolutely fine. But at the time, we didn't know. This was back in March. And March 16th, people were not that knowledgeable. And I'm pretty sure that I picked it up in the hospital in New York because New York was at its peak of problems then. I came back to Maryland and I put myself on 2-week quarantine. Got myself tested. When I saw it was positive, I was quarantined again. Then I was presumptive, which means we're not really sure. They're not really sure because of the false positives and false negatives. Put myself in another 2 weeks quarantine until I was negative, and then I was able to resume my bi-weekly visits to my parents, which I'm still doing to this day. My folks are alive and well and in their late 90s, and I love them. I want to be with them as much as I can. So every other weekend, now I Amtrak. I was taking the car because I didn't want to be in contact with anyone. Now I'm on Amtrak and nobody's sitting anywhere near me. When I get out of the Amtrak, I keep my distance, visit mom and dad, hug and a kiss, and come back. Interestingly, my wife had the same 36 hours of symptoms that I did, but she never tested positive, which underlies that there's a lot of false negatives and false positives. We both had 36 hours of signs and symptoms, diarrhea, coughing, sneezing, but nothing after that, not a sign prior to or after that 36-hour window for both my wife and myself, yet our test results were very different.
Wow. So when you were tested and you got that positive, what kind of went through your head with regard to everything that was going on?
I started counting my blessings. I realized that what my passions are, what's important to me, what's not important to me. And my passions are work, workout, and family. And here I am, 71 and a half, and I follow the mantra of love what you do and do what you love. And that way it never gets old.
Oh my goodness gracious. But you are completely fine now, no more issues.
I'm working 5 days a week now. I'm full-time working in the office and the operating rooms. Yes. Back to because I've had several negative tests since then. And even though I don't trust it 100%, I'm wearing double PPE and the patients are also well protected.
So do you test the other members of your staff? What's the kind of the protocol that you have in the practice with regard to, ensuring that you all are safe?
Excellent question. We paid for every staff member to have a custom fitted N95 mask that they wear for at least half a day or a full day. And then we send it to Battelle for sterilization. And then after every case, we'd have a disposable mask, a level 3 that they discard along with the gloves, etc. We offer testing at our expense to all the staff members. And we encourage them to get tested with the understanding that it is far from foolproof, and it's going to be improving with time.
So from an experiential perspective, and it's interesting the context around the false positives, all that. Other members or other clinicians who are seeing this and are kind of experiencing, what would you tell them with regard to if you even feel a little off? What advice would you give them with regard to checking themselves and understanding what that process is?
If it doesn't feel right, see a physician and isolate yourself until you can be fairly certain that it's safe to come out of hiding. I will not take any risks with my family or my staff. I did not see my children or my granddaughters for a lengthy period of time. Thank God we have Zoom and other media that I can be in touch. I speak with my parents on GrandPad every single day, and with my children on the various apps where we can see and touch and kiss each other via phone. So I'm in constant contact with my family, but from grandchildren up to parents. But if it's not safe to come out, stay home. I saw somebody saying, your parents and grandparents fought in world wars in foreign countries. You're just asked to sit on your couch. You can do this. And I smiled because I said, this is something we can do for everyone's safety. And if it means making less money or even operating at a loss, so be it, because at least at the end of all this, we'll be healthy and we'll be present.
Wow. Wow. What advice would you give to the clinicians right now who, it sounds like, as people are coming back and starting to work, there is definitely a decline or a decrease in the number of patients that are coming in. How are you navigating through that? And what are you doing with your team to kind of overcome that?
I guess it's like the stocks. If everybody's going up, you go down. If everyone's going to the right, you go to the left. Set yourself apart from the crowd. If everyone's closed down, find a way to stay open and protect yourself, because patients from other practices are calling us saying their practices are shut down. Can we accommodate them? I said, yes, but we're not going to kidnap or patient nap you. We'll take care of your problem, and we will not solicit to keep you, but we'll handle your problems. Several of them have since requested staying with our practice. And so I let the other dentists know. I said, would you mind if they stay with us? We didn't solicit, we didn't request it, but we're trying to honor their request. So our practice has grown from people that do not feel comfortable going back to their other practices, which are they feel is unsafe or is not yet reopened. Some are closing down, declaring bankruptcy. But by us staying open, even with a skeleton crew during the first 100 days, and now at 50%, we're having a hard time handling our load. Very hard time, which is why we recently hired a 5th dentist, because 4 of us alone could not handle it. We now have 5.
Wow. I love the fact that because you've spaced them out, because you're going in between, rather than decrease, you actually added more help to provide a better experience for your patients. So really very much appreciate that. If you were to
more help and more space. We went from 4,000 to 5,000 square feet. I'm not saying everyone could or should do that. I'm just telling you what we did to accommodate the safety of our staff and our patients. We added 1,000 square feet. Now, none of it is a profit center. None of it. It's kitchen and lounge space, but it's what my staff needs to feel motivated and safe. Otherwise, they would do what many other people are doing. They say, it's not safe to come out. I'm staying home until it's safe, even if it's another half a year. We're trying to create a safe environment for our staff and our patients, and we don't want to bring any diseases home.
That's so cool. So with the experience that you have, with the credentialing and the education that you've amassed over the years, and then the kind of the knowledge of having been exposed to so many different aspects in here, how would you sum up for clinicians? How would you sum up for dental professionals, kind of COVID, and then kind of how we're moving forward with this whole pandemic and kind of the future? What advice or what wisdom would you share with us with regard to that, drawing on everything that you've learned over the many years?
Well, I wish I had a crystal ball so I can tell you how long we're going to be swimming underwater. If I were to tell you, Ro, I want you to hold your breath for X seconds, you brace yourself and you do it. If I say I'm about to push you, you get yourself in a martial stance, because I know that you are also a martial artist. You get in a stance and you brace yourself. If I say swim underwater for X seconds, you prepare yourself. Here's something we cannot well prepare for. So we over-prepare. We over-prepare. We take too many courses. We take too many precautions. I'd rather be over-prepared than under. My father, who's still alive and well, taught me something years ago, and he still lives by this. Better to let 10 good opportunities go by than to sign on to one bad one. So he has let many good opportunities go by, stocks, other opportunities. He let them go by, to make sure he does not sign on to a bad one. Right now, there's so many potential bad opportunities to sign up for. Avoid them, even if you're also avoiding some good opportunities. So read too much, take too many Zoom classes, stay abreast, stay on top of it all. And when it's all over, however long it's going to be, we'll come out on top. If it's another half a year, so be it. It'll take a dip down and then it's going to soar up. Every cat, every snake has to recoil in order to surge forward. We all know that you take one step back to go 3 steps forward. And we are thinking of ourselves as a braced cat or snake, where we're in hibernation, we're gathering what we have to, and when it's all over, we're going to surge forward and zoom, unlike the zoom that we're doing right now.
I love the message, which is in the face of uncertainty, go overboard with regard to your preparation. Go overboard. Learn as much as you can. And it's great to hear, because from an experiential perspective and speaking with a lot of clinicians, people are getting confused with the differing bits of information that are coming in here. How do you kind of weed through what's there or not? What advice would you give with regard to, so I'm doing lots of education, how do I kind of figure out what to pay attention to and not?
Well, I pay attention to Aristotle. Aristotle said, and I'm going to quote, "For the things we have to learn before we can do them, we learn by doing them." Let me say that again. It's so important. For the things we have to learn before we can do them, we learn by doing them. That was in the year 315 BC. So take off the, take off the protective gear and touch things, do things, explore and experiment. Take off the gloves was just figurative. Get in there and do things. Don't stay behind the curtain. Make low-cost mistakes. You can only grow by making low-cost mistakes, reversible mistakes. I learned by my mistakes. So when I do something right, I pat myself on the back and get $1. If I make a mistake, I go back to the drawing board and say, what did I do wrong? What can I have done better? What will I do better next time? And this allows me to surge forward. And that brings me to where I am today and to the comfort level that I am today with my academics, the courses. I'm still a student. I teach courses, I write books and articles, but I'm still a student, which is why I get all these CE credits. And people laugh at me that I have 6 lifelong learning and service recognitions. I say, I'm just doing what I feel like doing, which is taking courses, mostly workshops, read, write, and this allows me to filter out what's useful, what's not useful. But you have to have a certain level of knowledge to know what to swallow and what to throw up, or throw out.
Cool. That's cool. Dr. Harvey, thank you so much. If people wanted to reach out to you or wanted to get in contact with you, what would be the best way to do that?
Well, first, I'm privileged to have been with you today, Ro. Thank you so much for the courtesy and the opportunity to share. If somebody Googles my name, Dr. Harvey Levy in Maryland, it'll take them right to my website. Or you can type in the characters H. Levy at drhlevyassociates.com. That's HLEVY at drhlevyassociates.com. And that will take you to our website and our CV, where you can, with my pleasure, have you copy, imitate, download the articles and access to those books that will give a wealth of knowledge. I didn't invent any of the stuff. I'm just a messenger that I gather and make it in a digestible form, like I do with my patients. We gather the information, present it to them in an organized fashion, and then we step back and they decide what to keep and what to reject. We're not here to make decisions for people. We're here to present options. It's my privilege to share with you what I've garnered over my 71 and a half years or so. And emulation is the greatest form of flattery. So when someone borrows or steals from me, I'm delighted, I'm pleased, and I'm flattered. And another thing is to shadow and mentor. I have had 50 different dentists over the years spend a day with me in the office and or the operating room, just shadowing. I give them CE credit because I'm an AGD PACE approved sponsor. They walk away with some new knowledge, and they might say, this wasn't for me. Or they might say, wow, what an opportunity for me to expand my own horizon to treat patients with anxiety or special needs. So find somebody that you respect, spend a day, shadow them. They'll be flattered to have you there. And if they can give CE credits, all the better.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much for joining us. Really appreciate the feedback. Really appreciate the information. You know, those of you who are watching this, if you like this content, please, and if you have any questions for Dr. Levy, please reach out to him. He's been a wonderful friend, a very knowledgeable person, has been very helpful for us. If you like this content, please share. If you have any questions for us, please send them to us. Dr. Levy, several months from now, when we're through whatever the next thing, would you be open to coming and joining us again?
It would be my pleasure and my privilege, Ro. We've been friends for, I think, 18 years or so, and I've always admired and respected you, and I thank you for the opportunity to come on today.
Thank you so much. Have a great, safe rest of your week. Please hi to Alina for me, and good luck on your Filipino test tomorrow. I'm really excited to hear how that goes.
Thank you, Ro.
Take care. Thank you so much. Take care, everyone.
Good.